Okay, it's not in the Boolean logic. This is also the not the Boolean logic, the logical operator, the AND. So to set the condition like that, you would use just and or. You could do it that way or not. So definitely you'll be using this when you do the Python programming. Okay, and then let's talk about the loop. Next thing is the loop. Every language is, mostly procedural language. Most of them have the loops, like for loops and the while loops. Both of them are kind of important. While loop is we can execute a set of statements as long as that's true. So what does that mean? If this condition is true, as long as it's true, then it will execute this. And then this will actually, as you can see, after this statement, this is what? I equals I plus 1. We said that that's the same thing as I equals I plus 1. So we're starting 1, and then it will print out to 1 because it's less than 6. And then next time it will become 2. So it goes on to loop. It will go circles, circles, circles until it checks whether I is still less than 6. If it's not, then what? It will just end out of the loop. Okay, so it'll print out the 1, 2. Well, it'll start with the 1. Okay, 2. Okay, 3. Okay, 4. Okay, 5. Okay, 6. No. So as long as I is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will go through the loop. Now each time it goes through loop, will also print out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, except that after printing out, the value of I will change because I equals I plus 1. So it'll add to 1, it will become 2, next time it will become 3, next time it will become 4, next time it will become 5, next time it will become 6, and then quit. Don't go through these. Okay, so that's the while loop, and the for loop works out kind of similar way. There's some other examples. See if you can figure this out. I'm gonna let you figure this out. The for loop kind of works in a similar way, except that way it works is a little bit different. It's like for loop is you define the start and to the end. So loop is used whatever the key. Well, actually, Python for loop, you not beginning to the end, but you use this in the word in, keyword in together. So let's take a look at this. So this is actually what? Is this a list or set? We said this is a list, right? Set is a curly braces. Okay, so we have a list like this. You can use a for loop as long as X is in these guys, then you go ahead and print it out, which will print out everything. Okay. And this one, the xn, these, as long as it's in string, it will work with the string as well. So that string is just another data type. We said the data type, integer, all this stuff, plus we did the list, we did the tuples, we did some other stuff. Okay. So what about this one? Well, this actually is a break if you want to get out of the loop. You can use a break statement, continue. Okay, so that's about it for as long as the for loop is concerned. Only thing to control the for loop, to get out, you can use a break or you can continue. What does continue do? So let's take a look at this. Break, you understand it, to get out of the loop. Okay, so sometimes if you want to get out of the loop, so you want to stop the loop. So let's take a look at this. So you have a for loop. If X is in this list, you print it out. And then if X is equal to banana, then you suddenly quit. Get out of the loop. Break. So sometimes you have a need for it. You don't want to go through loop again. Okay. Now, what about continue? When do you use continue? Well, you do nothing, but continue, you can stop the current iteration of the loop and then continue with the next. So, if you find the banana, it says what? You can stop the current iteration of the loop and continue to the next. So, if you find the banana, you just go to the next item and then go ahead and print out the X. Okay, so in this example, banana is found, and then actually it print out the cherry because of the next. Okay, why did it print out the apple? Well, if it's a banana, you print out the okay, this one is a tricky one. So let's pay attention. Okay. So if the X is in fruits, okay, which X is all in fruits? Then let's start with the first one. Okay, apple, right? If it's apple, banana, no. So we go ahead and print it out. So next one is banana equal to banana? Yes. So it doesn't print it out. You go to the next one. Okay. So the third one is cherry equal to banana? No. So you go ahead and print it out. Okay. Only if it's equal, then you continue. Okay. So this is one thing, and if it's not, we'll just go ahead and print it out. Okay. So a little bit, you gotta be careful with how you read the for loop. Okay. So this is continue. Actually, does not execute this guy here. It will go to the continue with the loop. Continue to the next meaning continue with the next item. Okay, a little bit tricky, right? Okay, that's main thing with the loop, nested loop, and all other stuff. Okay, functions. Okay, which is also important too. Okay, functions are important, loops are important. Okay, so far we only did really stuff that are important. Almost all that stuff is important. There's some other advanced actually stuff here that I think the last one that is really important would be functions. The reason why they are important because they are common in a lot of languages. Okay, so you learn one language, it's kind of similar in other languages. The syntax will be different, but the concept of programming will be same. Most likely, very same or similar. Okay, so functions. Now most languages offer functions. Just procedural languages like a C or top-down. The stuff that are top-down is called a procedural language. They offer functions. Okay, and Python. Every language will have there are two types of functions. One is a built-in function where it comes with the language. The other thing is we call it user-defined function, where you can make your own function. Okay, if it doesn't come with the language, you make your own function. Okay, so print actually is a function. Okay, to understand this, print actually is a function. It's a built-in function. And this one is actually creating your own function. So in other words, it doesn't say, but it's like a user-defined function. So you make your own function. So what does it do? The only thing it's gonna print out is this thing here. Now, how do you define your own function? You with a def keyword, and then name of the function is my function, and then this only thing it does, hello from a function. Now function, somebody has to actually use this function. In other words, a function must be called. You can you can design it something like a function does something. Function has some purpose, right? But something else, main program or some other function has called this function. Okay, so you cannot just run this program by itself. So you need to have a main thing. So here's a call a function right here. So here's my main program here is calling this function. Okay, so this is one kind of, you can think of it as like a vending machine or some black box, or it does something. All right, so the main thing is calling this function here, my function, this guy here, and only thing is it's gonna print it out. Okay, so to run this, the segment, like I said, you can type it in or you can run it as a script. Let's go and actually do it. The sequence nano, you just again say, oh, maybe p1.py, I don't know, p1 is whatever, and then you go ahead and put it in. Okay, so this program, actually this one you don't really need that, but this one you do need it, the indentation. Okay, so you got that, and then you save it, and then you go Python, right? And that was 3.8, right? That was the version we installed. So p1, oh, Python, the command not found, oh, not good. 3.8 maybe. Yes, probably we want to rename that, but let's not rename it. That's fine. If you do so many Python programming, you want to rename this. That's under the bin directory, because I don't want to type a period all the time. Okay, anyway, that's a user-defined function. Now, it can do more than one, just a line. It can be a little bit complicated. It can contain like a 10 lines, 20 lines, 100 lines if you want to. Sometimes you can call function many times. In this example, it's calling the function 3 times, as you can see, 1 to 3, and each time you're passing certain actually it's passing certain information, let's say, which is the values. Okay, so which is what kind of values? Well, some data, we call it argument. Okay, as you can see, argument, right? So it's passing this guy to this guy here, which is, you can name this f name to just anything you want basically, and it's passing into f name. So f name, and we said plus is what? Concatenation. So it will print ml reference space reference. Next time it will print out Tobias reference, Linus reference. Linus is a guy who developed the Linux. Linus, so yeah. Anyway, so you can call a function many times if you want. Okay, so pay attention to syntax, like this colon. We talked about indentation, we talked about this key, all this stuff. You have to pay attention. Okay, you have to put into your memory to be a good programmer. Okay, all right. So number of arguments. Now, function can have more than one argument. You can have 2, 3. As you can see, this one example uses 2 arguments. The names are different, but 2 arguments, whereas this one passes 2 arguments like that. Okay. You cannot mix and match different, this one has a 1 and 2, you cannot do that. Right? Now, if you don't know how many arguments been passed, you can also include use star args, this scheme, which is a star. So you could actually, whatever variable name you decide to use, actually you can use a star thing. Okay, I think that's probably the only important thing. I don't want to get into too details. Now let's look at the array, and the array, and then we'll look at the that's about the last one. Yeah, we're not going to discuss the classes, all this object-oriented stuff anyway, so we're not going to talk about that. Okay, let's talk about arrays. Now, first thing is that Python does not have built-in support for arrays. Okay, we said we actually use arrays, but Python does not support, does not have built-in support for arrays. So you cannot really assign like so that it's somewhat limited. So, but Python lists can be used instead. So what does that mean? Okay, so there's in other words, it's a little bit limited what you can do. So so we talked about arrays, lists. So arrays, you have to use with like a list. So here we have lists. You can display arrays. Now we use arrays for what? For strings, right? To print out the strings of characters. So you can do certain things, but you cannot do certain things at the same time. For example, this one, you're assigning this again, that's a list. Okay, so you're changing the actually the Ford to Toyota in this example. Okay, but you're working with the lists in this case. All right. Now what about this one? Same thing. The we can use a for loop, and the we can use a for loop, but this one actually is just array element. We are not using the index bracket. All right, so you're not remember, we are not using the bracket. So what about the adding array to the array element? There is a function called append. Actually, I should say yeah, a function, but it's actually a method. Append method. It's actually a function. Anytime when you see braces like that, that's function. So append and you know, the period after it, it's actually a method. So the method here, the append method, actually, if you put some list, name of the list, and then the append method, you could actually append to the existing array. Okay, existing array, add, you use append. Okay, remove, you can use a pop, and you use the same thing as here. That would be the index number, which would be what? 0 and 1. That will be 1. Okay, so fairly simple tutorials. Now these are the array methods. Again, these are the built-in the functions which you can use, but these are the methods. In other words, methods, you can, because it's object oriented, you have something and then the period after that, and you can use these methods. So here the built-in method, you can append, clear, copy, all these stuff you can do with the arrays. Okay, again, Python lists. Okay, that you have to work with Python lists. Otherwise, the string that we saw is automatically, you know, when you save as a string, that now going back to the string, it's automatically here. Strings are arrays by nature, by definition. Okay, so that's those are only the important stuff I see. These are the object-oriented stuff that we're not gonna really deal with it. Now, if we need to, we'll find maybe this one here, but we're gonna skip those. Next thing is the file handling. Let's do this next week. On Friday, and then either this Friday or next Tuesday, next Wednesday, or this weekend. I'll give you another homework assignment. Okay, so we'll start with we'll do the file handling next, and rest of them really, actually, these are the you need to download and all these packages, the libraries, built-in library. I mean, the Pythons come with lots of libraries, Python libraries. We'll see if we can do this next time. Okay, you have a nice day, and send me questions and or comments. You need to have some participation points. We'll discuss on Friday.